Although New York is surrounded on all fronts by water, few dream of the nautical life. And with all of the commitments and anxieties that go along with that life, it's not hard to reason why. The Rockaways are the last sliver of land before New York gives itself up wholly to the sea. Along its shores are a string of marinas where docked are a variety of boats, some patiently waiting for friendlier seas to venture onward, and yet some never to depart. Above them at all hours of the day and night are the deafening roars of airplanes shredding up the sky, an ever-present reminder of the society that busies itself on land. Docked at the very end of the very last pier is Jeremy, who today has agreed to share with me his point of view as one of those who will take up residence here for the foreseeable future. Together, we discuss the vagaries of life on water, the many freedoms and many restrictions that characterize this life, and the attitude prerequisite to keep one's head above water.
I never get tired of these airplanes flying overhead.
Yeah, that doesn't get old? I mean, that doesn't, I guess you just
they
grow deaf to it?
Yeah, I kind of like it, but it's not always the case. It depends on what direction the wind's blowing. They have like 8 different runways. Really high up, you'll hear like this whip sound.
What the hell's that?
I don't know if it's fighter jets or something. You can't see it. Sometimes when we're in between, we're in like an occluded front, or you're like in between a high and low pressure, you'll get water spouts out here, like little water tornadoes.
Really?
Yeah, that's really fun to watch.
How high do they go?
They'll be like 20 feet high.
Really?
But just hovering around the water. I mean, they'll happen right here in this inlet, but if you go out in the Jamaica Bay, it's even more common. Sometimes you'll see several at once. No, I think there's definitely deals to be had and there's people doing it. There are young people doing it. It's just fallen out of favor. Like in the 70s, it was kind of a big deal.
What do you think it is? Is it really just a cultural shift?
Yeah, I think it's even the sailing part's a lot of work. Everything's a lot of work. And the payoff might not be, I think people like easier stuff, instant gratification. I've heard people say it's like too white. It's like a very white thing.
Like camping.
I mean,
camping is too white. Sailing is too white.
I think that's the dumbest shit ever, though. There's all kinds of cultures have been sailing for millennia. So I've had the boat just about a year now, and the amount of projects and work that I've had to do is not really expected, but I've actually surprised myself. Like I redid the whole deck. That took about 250 hours, and I'm not really a labor type person, or I didn't think of myself that way. So it was nice to find out I had that in me. But it is still overwhelming. This boat requires a lot of maintenance.
What about van life?
Yeah, it's kind of like van life, except that's the new generations. They're into tiny homes and van life, but not yachting. Which is weird. I saw some stat that that boat ownership under 40 used to be like 5%. Now it's like less than 1%. And I know cost is part of it. Kids have like student debt and shit. But you can get cheap boats. Or you even get them free if you're willing to do like the sweat equity thing. Marinas are kind of like a glorified trailer park. So you still are in close proximity to people. If you want that overwhelming loneliness, you kind of got to go on anchor, like an anchorage in the middle of nowhere, which I did over the summer. It's great. You go different spots. It's kind of like you have a new backyard every time you go to a different anchorage. and then you really don't have much human contact. The longest I've been here is like middle of November.
Okay, and you're going to anchor here for the entire winter this time?
Yeah, it's looking like I'm going to be wintering here.
You think that's going to be
That's when it's going to be a different experience. There's only going to be a couple people at the marina. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. It's going to be very isolating.
How old were you when you learned how to sail?
I started just like 4 years ago.
And when you started, was it like a lark, or were you knew that you were going to be hardcore and knew it?
I knew I wanted it to be my lifestyle, so I took some online courses. The person who helped me get my first boat also gave me like 2 months of lessons when I first got it. But then I came out here in Jamaica Bay. I was just kind of complaining about it for sailing, but it's actually a good place to learn to sail. There's not much boat traffic, and it's dug very deep. Originally they wanted this to be like a shipping channel because of JFK, and because of the estuary, the birds, the migrating, they ended up making it a wildlife refuge instead. So it's dug out and really deep, which is nice for...
The thing is, though, was there any point when you were learning to sail that you felt you went in over your head, or were you just comfortable the whole time?
I still feel in over my head at times, and it's a process, and I guess different depending on how much time you can commit. Some people might pick it up a lot quicker. I've been kind of taking baby steps. Eventually I want to get into like offshore sailing and, you know, going to other countries, but I'm pretty afraid of the weather, like heavy weather.
Right.
And so I need to get more experience. Maybe on someone else's boat first.
I see. And I imagine when I speak earlier of like community, what I guess I mean is like the people that choose the same lifestyle, like look out for each other.
Definitely. So if you're talking about sailing, this marina is kind of an anomaly. You do have some sailboats, but you know, it's kind of turning into houseboats, and then there's the guys who've been here for like 20, 30 years, like fishing. But as far as sailing, yeah, people are, you know, they'll help out strangers who are also sailing, or, you know, if there's a problem with a boat or something, or even rescues, like...
Has that ever happened since you've been here? Any, like, rescue type situations?
In the Rockaways?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yeah, there's been a few, like, drownings and boats capsizing and stuff.
I imagine that nobody here is faking it for some sort for attention. It's like, it seems to be like
they may. I don't know. There's a lot of YouTube channels and stuff that they may, like, exaggerate their adventures a little bit. I mean, there's like a little cottage industry of sailboat YouTube channels and people trying to get a following.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you choose the boat lifestyle, you're choosing a lifestyle where internet is never going to be your top priority. I mean, I imagine if you go across the ocean,
right?
Like, you're relying on, like, you know, radio frequencies, right? You better download everything you're going to watch on the computer on the way over.
Well, times are changing. Elon Musk, his SpaceX corporation, they're beginning to launch satellite internets, and they want to have like a global, like, Wi-Fi, like, or a global satellite internet, which they already have sat phones, but they're very slow, so they're good for getting weather information or sending emails. His satellites are going to be orbiting much closer to the Earth, so the latency is going to be kind of a game changer. This boat's designed pretty well. He modeled it after this book called The Proper Yacht. So this got storage for everything. Like, he emphasized storage space as opposed to like living space. But that means there's a place for everything. And like the stove's on a gimbal, so if you're cooking, you know, it's not going to go flying anywhere. You got these straps. You got a little hardware here to put a strap on, so if you're cooking and the boat's all over the place, it'll hold you still.
Wow.
Under these settees, there's what is called a lee cloth. You can actually rig this up, so if the sea state's really bad, you won't roll out of the bunk. This is a single bunk. This actually converts to a double bunk, so this can sleep 2 people. This comes up, and then you can sleep under here.
Oh, wow.
And then you have 2 quarter berths in the back, so that can sleep 1 person each. This is where I sleep typically. It's kind of like a coffin.
It has like it's pretty cramped, but I imagine you're not, you don't have restless leg syndrome.
No.
And so it has a bathroom.
Which it's pretty messy. Got a couple projects going on. This boat doesn't have a V-berth. So a lot of boats this size would have a bunk up here. Instead, this has a forepeak.
But this is a bathroom in here.
Yeah, this is like, on a boat they call that a head.
It's not hard to imagine a simpler life where one's self-respect is earned through one's ongoing commitments. Not unlike a farmer tilling the soil, Jeremy must rise every day to keep his boat afloat. He does this while in the city just beyond him are 9 million people rushing about the land, chasing their dreams and profits, never thinking for 1 minute what it takes to keep their own lights on, their own toilets flushing, their own hearts beating.